Hello and welcome to another episode of Catholics at Home. Let me tell you, this is our first live show. So get ready for some impromptu things that's going to happen on this show. But let me introduce who's on the show today. My co-host, as usual, is Mark Darren Lee. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Kevin.
I'd like to wish you a very happy feast day to you and all the Marks watching our show.
Thank you very much. Happy feast day.
And of course, Mark, our show is titled Ask a Priest. And being our first live show, we do not have one priest, but two priests on the show today.
Yes.
That's great. So let's welcome Father Clarence Devadass and Father Patrick Massang. Good morning, fathers.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
All right. I hope everyone's well. Also, let me just mention a couple of our viewers who've gotten in early on the show today. I'd like to say good morning to Kate Chan, Daphne, Gertrude. Thanks for joining us. We're also waiting for more of our viewers to join us. As you know, we've set a timing for them at 10 o'clock, and they should be getting in pretty soon as we go along to this show. But first of all, it's our first live show, Saturday morning show. How's everybody? Father Clarence, had your breakfast?
Yes, Kevin. I had an early breakfast this morning just to get ready for this. Yeah, very simple breakfast, just some oats and some tea. Very quick.
All right. Let me remind you, this is not part of the Ask the Priest. Or maybe it is. Father Patrick, what's your favorite choice of breakfast for you?
Well, I don't have any breakfast because I'm doing this intermittent fasting, so I'm okay. Just water.
Intermittent fasting. All right. I've heard of that, but I've never tried that, and I don't think I'll be able to do that. All right. So let's just talk about why we are doing this show on the 3rd of May, 2 Sundays from now. It's going to be Good Shepherd Sunday, right? And maybe let's just have a little introduction about what Good Shepherd Sunday is all about. Father Clarence, maybe you'd like to start off?
Yeah, Good Shepherd Sunday, the 4th Sunday of Easter. Usually we have the Gospel reading of the Good Shepherd, and Good Shepherd Sunday is also known as Vocation Sunday. So it's a day where, we remind, the church reminds us about God's call. More specifically, I think Vocation Sunday is about calling to priestly and religious life. So that's the day that, our prayers are offered to God, especially here in many parts of the world where vocations are decreasing, praying for an increase of vocations. So, yeah, so it's the 4th Sunday of Easter, which is known as Vocation Sunday.
And Father Pat, what does Vocation Sunday mean to you?
Well, Clarence put it in a nutshell. Our focus is to be on the Good Shepherd, because sometimes the other shepherds have not been very good. So we turn back and focus on the Good Shepherd so we will not lose the plot and get our directions right. And to encourage people to pray for us, actually, and especially for those who are discerning to become shepherds in one way or another. So that's Good Sunday for me.
Uncle Pat, we noticed when we have, like, when we mention Father Patrick Massang, we have to put the CSsr. Actually, I wonder, what does CSsr mean? And yeah.
It's a Latin word, Congregatio Sanctissime Redemptio, which means Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer. Because it's so long, Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, we shorten it and say Redemptorists. Very close to the terrorists in the Catholic Church.
Is there another meaning, Father Clarence?
I have a theory for that. The Redemptorists are very well known for giving missions, for going around from parishes, preaching powerful missions. So sometimes we say CSsr stands for Carefully Selected Sermons Repeated. So when they do these missions, they repeat the sermons. So hey, by the way, when I did my studies in Rome, I was with the Redemptorists, great bunch of people. Yeah, I studied in their university, so I'm indebted to the Redemptorists in many ways.
There you are. We are good shepherds.
How do we tell them apart, Father Clarence?
How do we tell them apart? I think one of the easiest ways would be the the cassock that they wear is quite different. I think Father Pat will explain a little bit. Theirs has got a rosary on the side. You know, if you look at when they wear their cassock, or do you call it a habit? I think you call it a habit. What do you call it, Father Pat?
Habit, yes.
Habit,
Yes,
yeah.
the habit.
So they have the rosary, so that's quite distinct. That the Redemptorists have, and they have a white cincture around. Yeah, maybe he would explain. That's what we can see from externally. We see that you know you can distinguish a Redemptorist from any other priest.
That's
Father
true.
Pat, like to add?
Yeah, we wear kind of a cincture. That's a very thick belt that we have, and we drape the rosary in the alphabet of the M that goes around. But I think what Pope Francis said about, you know, smelling the sheep, I think the sheep should smell the shepherd and tell the difference.
Yeah. Hold on, Kevin. Father Pat, I think your camera is tilted. Maybe we're viewing you sideways.
I don't know why that is happening. Try and
Maybe-
correct it.
Yeah, maybe while Father Pat adjusts that, let me remind the viewers, if you just joined us, this is our first live show. It's called Ask a Priest, where you can ask Father Clarence or Father Patrick any questions at all. So just type your questions, in the comment section below this, if you're watching this on Facebook. And also, let me remind you, later on, towards the end of the show, we are going to pick a winner or two winners for our contest that we had during Holy Week, where we asked you to post your pictures of your decorations at home during Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday. So for those of you who have already sent in your pictures, we will be picking two winners today, and we'll see who that is later on in the show. So do stay tuned. In the meantime, we'll be carrying on with our conversation as the show is titled Ask a Priest. And so any questions, Mark?
Yes. So basically from Gerard, thank you for your questions. So he says, Shalom, Father Clarence and Father Patrick. Kindly advise us what is meant by reverence during Holy Mass according to canon law, the CSsr, and teachings about the Holy Liturgy. Thanks, Father. So maybe Father Pat, or you want to start?
Well, I don't have the documents here with me, right? But I go back to the Vatican documents, which says full and active participation in the Eucharist or in the Mass, which means we have greater focus in the Mass. We are supposed to participate in the singing, in the prayers, and be fully present in that way, and not just to sit and be a spectator. Right.
If I can just add on to that, Father Pat, what about people like me? I really don't like to sing, but I'm singing inside. I mean, but nobody knows.
But
Is that fine?
I think that's the nice part. I think reverence does not necessarily be conditioned by the externals, but the inner disposition is very important. How do you come? I think like Kevin is saying, okay, not everybody can carry a tune probably, but the inner disposition of the person, of that sense of reverence, that sense of being in a sacred place, it starts from when you leave home. It doesn't just happen when you arrive in church. That whole preparedness to encounter God, and then that is like Father Pat said, that is enhanced by the singing, by the community that is present, by all the other things. So there's a foundation that it builds on, and it just doesn't happen at one particular moment. Otherwise, what happens is that you can walk in and you feel the sense of reverence, and then the moment you walk out, everything disappears. And you have seen many a times where people after Mass in the car park arguing with each other, so that whole sense of reverence is just for 1 hour, and then what happens to the rest of the day. So it all is an inner disposition to be able to revere God, whether in church or out of church. Yeah. So it starts from the inner disposition. Well, that's how I look at it. Otherwise, it's quite disassociated. Your outside life and your church life is kind of like two different parts of your own experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was just asking because, like I said, for me and maybe others too, that singing is not really something that I do much or enjoy much. Maybe once in a while in during the shower or in the car, something like that. But it's really not. I'm not really much into singing. And that's why sometimes even when I'm going for like some formation programs in church, and just say it's at 2 o'clock, and I'll probably leave at 2 o'clock, and my wife will ask me, "Why are you going so late?" And I say, "Don't worry, there's praise and worship first," which is something I'm trying to avoid. But confession time. Anyway, yeah. But
I just share an experience. I think I've noticed this. So there are communities. Well, urban communities are a bit more shy. I think that's what the experience. What would others think? Will they look at me strangely? But I found in rural communities, generally people sing. People sing, and actually they don't care whether they are in tune, out of tune, on key. And I really like that. I like that even if they are off key, but that sense of wanting to praise God is so rooted. They couldn't be bothered what other people think, as long as I think that's the beauty of it. So next time when you go, Kevin, don't worry. Sing your hearts out.
I mean, not all of us are blessed with the voice like Father Pat.
Yeah. Well, singing is only just one part of the mass. You join in the prayers. You become sensitive to the environment and the people around you. Everybody is praying. There's so many things happening. You can look around, listen to the word of God, look at the gestures, get into everything that is going on, all the rituals. Don't just sit there like a stone. Then you get involved. Right? I'm sure you've attended musicals and going for concerts. You can't say, I do not like music. You go in there, you get into the feel of it. So people are all praying. Be aware of the person beside you and answer the prayers. There's so much praying being done. So there's no excuse. If you don't have a voice, no one is going to scold you. But answer the prayers and get into the Eucharist as much as you can. Don't worry about the distractions.
We got another question from Esther. So Esther asked, basically, I think it's a very interesting question for everyone. What is the highlight of being a priest so far? I mean, in your journey.
Well, who are you addressing the question to? Maybe that'll help.
Whoever is first, to vote, and maybe Father Clarence, you may want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's just one highlight. I think that there are many highlights, and it changes and it depending on where I am, what I am doing. But I think now that I am kind of cut off from people. We all are cut off from people. And I think one of the things that I really miss is that interaction, that social engagement with people. One of the things that I've always found very enriching is that, after Mass, and I'm sure some of you have seen me, after Mass, I like to stand at the entrance of the church, even though it's just 1, 2 minutes, 20 seconds just to greet somebody, that gives me a bit of energy, a sense of purpose, a sense of, so it's the whole idea of just, being available to people in different ways. That I mean, in a nutshell, would be my highlight. I mean, I don't want to talk about doing specific things because we all do different things. I mean, in different esprits, at different times, you are called to do this, called to do that. We wear many hats, but it is, a sense of community, being part of a community. I mean, Father Pat is a religious, so he has his own community. Like diocesan priests, our parish is our community, and that's our extended family. So that's like a sense of fulfillment, a sense of being appreciated. All that adds to the highlight of being a priest. At least for me, that's in a general way.
How about you, Father Pat?
Well, I don't really go for highlights. For me, there's so many opportunities during the day, and I make the best of it. That every given moment, it's the ability to encounter God in people, in the sacraments, in ministry. So I try to make whatever I do something worthwhile, giving my very best to whatever it is. So I don't really look about highlights. I make everything well. I try to do everything the best way that I can. Yeah.
Maybe if I can just twist the question a little bit, was being a priest anything like how you had imagined it to be at the start?
Oh,
Father
far
Clarence?
from it, far from it, Kevin. I always think that, while in the seminary prepares you in a certain way, but the seminary doesn't prepare you for everything that you'll encounter in the ministry. It's just like any other. I mean, you can go to a university and study something very specific, but when you come out to the world to work, you realize that it's a whole different world. But the foundation is there. The foundation is there. So that's what makes it interesting, because it's not a static ministry. It's very dynamic. You encounter new things, new environments, new situations, new people. That's what makes it exciting. It's the new encounter. Like I think Father Pat said, it's every opportunity is an opportunity to meet God in a different way, from a different angle, a different facet. Yeah. So nothing prepares you for life. Nothing prepares us for MCO either.
Are there any
How
more
about you?
questions?
Yeah,
Mark?
it's so enriching. The more you get into it, you learn so many things. I thought the priesthood was all about maybe celebrating the sacraments. But people bring a whole different dimension to it, Look at the whole story of Christ. It was not about him celebrating sacraments. It's just being with the needs of the people, and the sacraments will happen. So enriching and so fulfilling for me.
So I have one question, Father Pat. You were born. I mean, you're from PJ. I mean, and Assumption is your home parish, but you became a redemptress. So how and why? I mean, what made you get the calling to be a redemptress and versus a diocesan?
Well, redemptress was not my first choice. That's the irony, because they used to come and give us missions, and they were such great preachers and jokers. I said I could never be that. But because I come from a very big family life is so important for me. See? And so the redemptorists have a sense of community, which I think which the diocesans couldn't offer. And I needed kind of a support. So I went to see the Jesuits, the Franciscans, and finally the redemptorists. And then I decided, yes, there was chemistry between me and the redemptorists. So I pursued this vocation, and I wanted to be a good preacher. And I like the work about going for missions to the most abandoned. So that really something that I really want to do. Yeah, no regrets. I mean, I love being a parish priest, no doubt about it, but still in a redemptorist way. Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, never say never.
Okay, so we have a question. So this question is from Dan. We have a question from Dan Tessera. So he wants to know basically what's the difference in practice of conducting masses in church. So there's some of them, for example, there's no introductory by commentators in the beginning of the mass. Some the Gloria is sung in different melodies, different styles, and some homilies are more than half an hour. So what are your thoughts? Father Clarence?
It is, I think the important thing is we all share in the universality of the church. That's the most important thing. There are maybe some differences in the way some things are done. I am not advocating that one is better than the other. I think what is important to remember is, wherever we are, everyone is trying their best to offer an opportunity to meet God, to encounter God. And when we start picking on things that are not appropriate, or what we may think is not appropriate, then it bothers us. Then it defeats the whole purpose of being in church. That's what I would say. If you start looking at all the negatives while you are in church, then the question is, why are you in church? I know we are humans. I know the fact that, Father Pat will also agree to this. Today, especially in urban areas, a lot of people not only do church shopping, they do priest shopping. You know, they jump from one place to another. I mean, Kevin is laughing. Maybe he's guilty of that also, I guess. You know, but every Mass is an opportunity to encounter God, and we need to find those opportunities and not, find the obstacles. Because if we keep finding the obstacles, we will miss the opportunity of meeting God. And I go back to the Bible. If you look at the Bible, it's very clear. When Jesus went about doing his ministry, a lot of the chief priests, they just found reasons not to believe in Christ. This man, we know him as a little boy. He comes from here. We know his parents, and they missed a great opportunity to meet Christ. And those who came with open hearts, with open minds, just longing to meet Jesus, even to touch the hem of his cloak, not without, they're the ones who really encountered God. And I think this is the attitude maybe we need, when we go to Mass, to find opportunities. Like Father Pat said, sometimes people say, sometimes they say to me too, oh, Father, your homily is not so nice, but I know we can't understand. Yeah, but there are other aspects of the Mass, maybe a song touched you, maybe another word or the Bible reading touched you, and use that as the direction for the week, so we can always find something good, in every situation, I believe. Yeah, that's the long answer to a short question.
I also feel we should not come to church as a critic. Don't come as a critic and look at everything and then evaluate. Otherwise, there'll be so many things that are not right. I've got parishioners that are so critical. Even when they come in, they are not greeted by the hospitality minister, they make a complaint. And it's not, when the holy water bowl is not up to the brim, they will complain. They don't get a good seat, they will complain. The fan is facing them, they will complain. There's so many things they're just not happy with. And that really spoils your disposition and being available to the person beside you. So go in there, understand the limitations of every parish, understand the limitations of the priest also. If we don't like something, write in, dialogue with the priest, and attend meetings and see how the worship quality can be improved. Otherwise, we will be just, bickering and saying everything is not right. Well, we can't please everyone also. I think, for me, I'm very open to suggestions how we can improve. I try to keep my homilies less than 10 minutes, get to the point. I take seriously participation by everyone, the choir, and it must be a lively Mass. And there are moments of silence. Keep all these things and people will be able to encounter Christ in a wonderful way. Otherwise, I will also be a critic. Why are you not joining in? Why are you dressed like this? All kinds of things. Just go with the flow and let the Spirit move you during the Mass.
I think I remember once, I can't remember which priest told me this, but he said, don't come to receive. Apart from the Eucharist, of course, don't come to receive, but come with an attitude of giving. What are you there for? To give yourself and to that attitude of giving rather than receiving as a customer. I can't remember which priest told me that, but I suppose that makes a little bit of sense there.
Yeah. So another thing, I think today a lot of people think the priests work 24/7. I hear Father Gerard always saying, oh, I get a call at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. So what are the working hours for priests? And the question next comes from Kit is basically, what do priests do on your off day? So do you all have an off day? What are the working hours and what do you all do in your off day? Father Pat?
Well, we have an off day. But so far, I have not really taken the off days because there is work. The busiest day is Sunday. Wait, what was the question again?
What do you do on your off day?
What? Oh,
what do you?
Well,
Yeah.
I will hang out with my friends. I will go for a movie. I will go and have dinner with someone, with a family. I will accept an invitation. I will play my music, listen to my music. I will rest. I will lie in bed. A lot of things that I can do on my off days. Yeah. Call a friend. Normally, I will go out with the youth, go out for a meal with someone that needs my time. Yeah.
How about you, Father
That's
Clarence?
what I do.
Yeah. Well, generally, I mean, I think it isn't written into our appointment or our contract that there is an off day. You know, I mean, it's not something that if we don't get, we can go to the labor court to fight over it. That hey, I didn't get my off day. But you know, conventionally, a lot of priests, as far as I know, we take a Monday off because after the heavy weekend, so we kind of lie in on a Monday. But different priests, different parishes have different. I know some priests have different off days. Sometimes Monday. So sometimes Monday they have to work also because sometimes there's if there's a funeral, then there isn't actually an off day. So it's a day. I think it's a day that we priests take where we can kind of like not. I wouldn't want to say cut off because now with mobile phones, there's no such thing as cut off. People call you to do things that maybe we don't have the time to do on the other days when we are probably not in the office. So like me, I mean, like Father Pat says, catching up with the people, sometimes it's just waking up slightly later than every other day, a lazy breakfast. Don't worry, it's not breakfast in bed. Nobody brings breakfast in bed. So we have to get up and, make our own breakfast. So it's a kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, we try not to take up, at least I try not to take appointments on Mondays, but it's not always possible, Mark. It's not always possible. So sometimes, we still do. So it's just a day to let the body rest also, in some ways, keeping the Sabbath on another day for us when we are working on the Sabbath. Yeah.
I try to remind, you got to educate actually your parishioners. I try to tell my parishioners, I'm not a service provider. Because they can call at any time of the night and ask me, Father, can you recommend a good budget hotel or good restaurant and all the funny things they bring the parish for? You just can go crazy. So I said, excuse me, I'm not a service provider. And if you want, at my age especially, me to be a healthy priest, don't call me in wee hours in the morning because your dog cannot sleep, or your cat is howling, or someone is loitering in your neighborhood, or whatever it is. They ring you for the dullest reason sometimes. You got to educate these people, Father, I've got diarrhea. Can you recommend something with herbs and all that? You got to play. It is amazing the things they go. I'm not a provider. Oh.
I think we should compile some of these funny questions.
Yeah,
And then
do a book or
or another show. Do not ask the priest this questions.
Good grief.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I always remember that there's sometimes people who call the office and say, "What time is the midnight mass?" Okay. It's at midnight. Of course,
Father,
it's at
now we no
midnight.
more midnight, Father.
Pardon?
But midnight mass, no more midnight nowadays,
We couldn't be calling it midnight mass anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have another question from Al Nara. So if you're not a priest, what would you be? Father Pat, Father Clarence?
Okay. Well, before I became a priest, I was a teacher. I was in the hotel line. I was a freelance artist. I love photography. I love singing. I had my own band, many long. Once upon a time. So all these things I could go back to, but not at this age, I guess. Love drama and acting. Yeah, I think I would go back to teaching or to the hotel line.
How about
Was
you,
not a
Father
priest.
Clarence?
No, when I was in primary school, they used to have this, I don't know, Father Pat will remember, cumulative cards. You had to fill up these cumulative cards and they'll ask you at the end of every year, apakah cita-cita kamu? The teacher will ask. I remember for the longest time, I used to put in pilot. I don't know why, that was my fascination. Yeah, but, that didn't work out, for various reasons. planes may not take off. Yeah, that was my childhood fascination with planes. Yeah, so yeah, that would have been the other option.
Yeah. So just want to check also, do you need to be what's the qualification to be a priest? I mean, what kind of education do you all need? I mean, like Father Pat, I mean, do we need to have a degree or do we need to have a master's in something, or for the redemptorists, I mean?
Well, when I joined, we needed Form 6. Now I think you need to have some kind of a diploma to get in, because you go into the seminaries, tertiary studies, university level. If you have Form 3, there's no way you can cope with the studies of Form 5. The better your education, the easier your studies is going to be. Yeah. I did my master's while in priesthood. So, yeah.
So does that mean that the higher your education level, that means, for example, you qualify for different orders of the priestly vocation, for example, the Jesuits or the Redemptorists or the diocesan? Is there a certain criteria?
Mark, I mean, to be a diocesan priest, it takes about 8 years. To be a religious priest, it takes about 12, 15 years.
Wow.
It takes longer. Yeah. So they are slow learners. So we can compare. So they take a longer time to grasp with all the concepts, all the mysteries of the Trinity. So yeah. And that's the joke among us. We always say, the religious are slow learners, so they take longer time. No, but I think it needs a level of some aptitude, some level of comprehension. Yeah, I think that's very important. We have had exceptions, especially in diocesan priesthood, people with not meeting the requirements, but able to grasp concepts and teachings. So sometimes, we have a bare minimum, but sometimes there are exceptions also made to accept people. Yeah. So I mean, the minimum these days, at least Form 5, Form 6, or a diploma or certificate in something, the ability to study, because it requires in-depth studies. It requires persons to be able to understand philosophical ideas, concepts, to able to grapple with them, a bit of theology. So yeah, so some level of ability to understand, to comprehend concepts and other things. Yeah.
Okay.
Just kidding, Father Pat. I know you all are. No, you don't have to. You have longer time because you have different parts of the formation. It's nothing to do with the studies part.
Yeah. Because
Okay,
I think
so
for the diocese, they can only learn so much. After 8 years, they give up, but we go on to greater things.
Yeah, so that's the rebuttal that you got.
So we have a question from
for the redemptorists. For the redemptorists, you need at least Form 6. The least you need is Form 6, or a kind of a diploma. And more important, you need working experience. You can't come in straight from the school. You must go to college or university. We don't take anybody straight from school. You have to have working experience. Very important for ministry.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the same. I think now there's a bit more. That's the kind of requirement, isn't it? I mean, even at entrance levels, you have psychological assessments that are made at the beginning, which includes an aptitude test at the entry point. So things are a bit more organized now compared to before.
Okay, so we have a question from
Psychological
Matthew.
test.
Sorry, Father Pat. So for both fathers, what was the psychological test? Yes, I think they need to be prepared. Yeah, cool. So for Matthew, Matthew asked basically, what were the lowest and highest points in your lives during the priesthood up to now? Tough,
I think lowest was not really. I mean, lowest is facing death. I mean, my mom's death was one of my low points, right? And then I think, losing parishioners in tragedies and all these things are low points in my life. In ministry, I'm talking about in ministry. Yeah. High points is oh my gosh, so many high points, hard to rate high points. Just the joy of Easter night, the conversions, people coming into the church to see the elect being baptized. Those are really high points for me. People coming back to the sacraments after 40, 50 years and being renewed. The charismatic movement, what they do. Volunteers that sacrifice so much for the church, people that give their time. Yeah, these are high points for me. To see dedication of married couples and family life. Yeah.
How about you, Father Clarence?
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I share with what Father Pat was saying. Yeah, I think the low points, I think for me, it has been quite different at different stages of my own priesthood. At the beginning, I think it was about managing expectations. When you come out of the priesthood, you're all fired up, and people have all these expectations of priests. For us to have superpowers like the Avengers, to be able to do everything, and sometimes really not possible. But as you move on in your priesthood, you begin to realize that there are some other more important things to focus on, and not to allow a negative comment to pull you down. Sometimes in my early years, when people are very critical, and it's the reality that you begin to realize that like we spoke about it earlier. People can be armchair critics, not just of the church, but the priests also, and that used to kind of weigh me down. But I think that the support of other priests, the support of friends, have always lifted me up. So the high points for me would be, in this ministry, I've made a lot of friends, and I think, which if I wasn't a priest, I wouldn't have had this network of people around me, friends, like both, Mark and Kevin are products of my friendship through the ministry. Mark was an altar boy, Kevin much later. So we have maintained these friendships over the years. And I think those are valuable assets for me as a priest, friendship. And I enjoy the fact that, that there are people who also see me as a part of their lives, who see me as a friend, and more than just a priest. Sometimes, we look at a priest and say, okay, like Father Pat said, no, we are service providers. So, when I need you, and I don't need you, I don't need you, kind of thing. But the relationships that I have built over the years, friendships, it's been amazing. Even like Father Pat, I was a seminary student when he was already a priest, I believe. And he came to the seminary to teach us about, voice modulation, and these are friendships that I've built over the years, and I value them. Those are my high points, I think. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. Thanks, Matthew, for that question. Just to remind the viewers that we're already more than halfway through our show. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section. And speaking of questions, I would like to ask a question, and this may be a little bit silly, but to Father Clarence and Father Pat, have you ever, while celebrating the Mass, needed to go to the toilet? And what did you do?
I always remember this story. Some senior priest told me there was once a priest, many years he's passed on, and then he was a great builder of churches, and at one time when he had the same problem, halfway through Mass he needed to go to the toilet, and there wasn't one. And since then, ever since he built churches, he made sure that in the sacristy there would be a toilet. So from an experience came out a practicality. I don't recall, Kevin. I don't recall having, that happened to me. Yeah, I have stepped out sometimes when I'm not well to have a sip of water. Yes, sometimes we are fighting a flu. Sometimes I try not to carry a bottle of water onto the sanctuary, but I just step out to take a sip of water. But nature's call, hasn't happened to me yet, and I hope it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, it's not happened to me. I think because we're all toilet trained. This one,
That's
one
what
incident in
seminary does to you.
So
there was this one incident in CDM. I was not feeling well, and I didn't have anything to eat before the mass. And we had some doctors who insisted I should have at least have a drink. And during the mass, they went to make Milo, and they gave it to the server and asked the server, give it to Father Massang, ask him to drink it now. It was so embarrassing. The cup comes on near the altar there. I'm like, good grief, I can't drink Milo at this time. So you get, yeah.
You should have said,
Yeah.
can I have 2 slices of toast to go with the Milo too?
I should have asked for that. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's always the toilet in the sacristy. So in case of that, you can be excused.
I see.
And I remember there was one priest. There was one priest that needed to go to the toilet, right? And of course, he told the congregation, "I've got to go just for a short while," and he went in. But the problem is, he had this microphone fixed to his head here, and when he went in, everybody heard whatever sounds were made in the toilet, and they were laughing. The whole congregation was in stitches, and he couldn't understand why they were laughing at him. He said, "I don't think it was very funny, a priest going to the toilet," and they continued to laugh. It was so funny. So switch off your mics if you've got microphones. This label mics.
Yeah, better be careful today with all technology. There's cameras and mics all around. Yep.
Yeah.
But I think today, for all our viewers, we have lots of questions coming in. Yeah. So we can't really put all the questions up. Yeah, because we have a time period. So we'll just highlight and we'll give other people a chance also. Yeah. So George, again, this is another question which George has been bringing up. So the celebrant and assistant on the sanctuary are significant agents of the sacred liturgy. So why do some celebrants inspire clapping during Holy Mass? Yeah, is this the proper decorum from during Holy Mass? Father Pat?
I guess there's a time and place for everything. Okay? After the communion rite, in a sense, the Eucharist is over. The communion rite ends everything. That's why we have the announcements at that time. If you want to have clapping at that part, it's quite okay. It's an accepted, I think, cultural thing. But not during the Mass and during your sermon. You want affirmation, you ask the people to clap. That may not be appropriate. So leave all those kind of clappings towards the very end when the Mass is over. When that part of the Mass is over.
Okay, so...
But sometimes when...
Yeah, Father Pat, you're saying?
No. It's how you want to look at a celebration. If you call a Mass a celebration and you're there being so mournful and you're, so strict, it can't really be a kind of a celebration. It's not supposed to be a sorrowful mystery and something so solemn where you can't even smile and be happy. That kind is, for me, it's very negative. So don't focus on the clapping. I mean, the clapping is just a small part. It shouldn't upset anyone if people show appreciation and joy. Why is it upsetting anyone?
Yeah.
Clap your hands to the Lord and dance and sing. It's fine. There are appropriate moments for silence, for singing, for being joyful, for movement, for gestures. Yeah, that is important in liturgy.
Right.
So
Thank you, Father Pat. As you know, we're coming closing in on the end to the show, so we'd like to get in as many questions as we can. Any Ling has a question. Does our seminary takes in non-Malaysian who aspire to be a priest?
I think historically, our seminary here in Malaysia, at least the diocesan seminary, has been a regional seminary. It took in students from Singapore, from Thailand, from the Indochina region. So the older priests have got memories of these people studying together. But with immigration laws becoming stricter, it has become almost impossible to accept non-Malaysians to study in the seminary, because the seminary, in some ways, I mean, it's not like a recognized institution to be able to afford or to give, student visas. Yeah, so that's the challenge. That's the challenge, and I think if it's possible, I'm sure that the seminary would be open to receiving, but because of these limitations by law, that we are currently the Diocesan Seminary, we are unable to accept non-Malaysians into the seminary.
Thank you, Father Clarence.
So the
We
next
have a
question.
regional seminary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where people come from all parts of the world to study in our city, but that is in the Philippines. That's where our regional seminary is. If you can get permit to study, it's fine. Yeah.
Do you still have your seminary in Davao, Father Pat?
Yes, it's still there. It's a regional seminary for Southeast Asia. People coming even from India, from Vietnam, from Australia, from Samoa, from the Fiji Islands, from Africa. Okay.
So there's a couple more questions coming in. So one from Christopher Victor. Maybe you can just help him in terms of his question, where he looks at how do you overcome spiritual dryness during this period? Anyone?
Let's hear from the great masters of Alphonsus de Liguri.
Everything it's a spiritual thing. You got to take all these things into prayer. You got to find time. You got to discipline yourself. It's just a passing phase sometimes. Like all the saints go through that. It's not the end of the world. It's good to go through that and see what's happening in your life. See a spiritual director. Go and see someone. Talk to someone if that period is stretching too much. Whether it's really spiritual dryness and going through depression, whether you need therapy, go and look for professional help if you need so. If you need it.
I remember. I just remember a few years ago, and I always use this example, reading the biography of Mother Teresa, and she, she's a saint, yeah, and then we see this great person who lived in our times, and she speaks about there are times when she sees people dying on the streets, when you see children no food, she's very angry with God. She's very, and she struggles with that. And it's a fantastic book that I read. And she says that, there are days when she doesn't feel like praying too, because she's angry with God for allowing these things to happen. But she says in the book, at least she alludes to that fact, even though I don't feel like praying or giving up on prayer, but she looks at prayer as also God's time with her. That it's also God being present to her. So she says that there are times when she goes to the chapel, she just sits there with nothing to say, but she knows that God ministers to her in that silence, in that dryness too. I think it's a very, very powerful experience, and I've always used that and kept that in mind. Even when you are dry, because experiences that we go through, like Father Pat says, grief. When you're grieving, it's very hard to pray sometimes. When you look around in difficult situations, very hard to pray. You wonder why all these things happen. But even in that grief, even in that that dryness, God ministers to us in a different way. We just need to be present to Him.
Thank you for that, Father Clarence. I'm sure many of us also go through the spiritual dryness, and that example from Mother Teresa or Saint Mother Teresa will be also helpful to us. As we're coming up to the end of the show, just one more question here from Mickey, and she'd like to know, Father Pat and Father Clarence, for those who are considering the priesthood or religious, could you share your experience, how your calling came about, and you were certain that this was a sure calling? This may be something very long for you to explain, so maybe just for this show, we'll talk about this, about your calling, maybe on another show. But maybe briefly, can you just tell us about your calling for the pet?
Well, the calling happened in a long period of time. It's something that I had to discern. It took me about more than, I think, 3 years, more than 3 years to really discern whether I was willing to answer that call and to take that risk. Because I was working, and somehow deep down inside, I felt I needed, in a sense, job satisfaction. Whatever I did didn't give me a sense of peace and happiness. And the priesthood was actually quite frightening. I had to go and see a priest and talk about it, and then have someone journey with me to see whether I'm discerning in the right way. But it's a risk that we all would like to take, because it's a relationship with God. And I look back, I said, thank God I gave it a try and not be afraid.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that there's never a moment that we are sure, isn't it, Pat? I mean, even when you apply, there's always that doubt,
It's very true, but you got to work at it, like any relationship, even in a marriage. When you think it's going down, we take an extra vow, the vow of perseverance, which means when the going gets tough, we still continue to persevere the best way that we can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like in a marriage, you just don't give up when times are bad or you're depressed and you blame someone, and you got to do something about it. Yeah.
I mean, I think what is important for those who are discerning, I think, to look at priesthood or religious life as yet one of the options that are available. Today, a lot of people don't give that as an option. When traditionally, you want to become an engineer, be a doctor, you want to become this, you want to become that, and society kind of shapes you in that direction. And priesthood or religious life is not offered to a person as an option. So I think, if we are really searching, this must also be another facet of our lives that young people are open to. And I think that's what Vocation Sunday is all about. It's about telling people, opening up that opportunity that there is another path of life also that you want to consider, to discern. As I said, I say that it doesn't mean that the moment you enter the seminary or religious house, you're going to become a priest. The seminary or religious formation is part of that journey, that discernment that we make. And every day. I remember going to the seminary my first year. I told myself I'll give myself 1 year and see how it goes. 1 year became 2, then 3, 4, 5. So every year is a kind of a renewal, and every moment is an opportunity to meet God in different ways. So there isn't a clear message. Even when there isn't a WhatsApp message that comes. Okay, God says I want you. Sometimes I wish I had like Moses. I saw a burning bush, or of course I don't wish the dream of Jonah to be swallowed by a whale, but little by little God reveals Himself, and I think that's the beauty of being persevering and discerning.
Yeah, Father Clarence, you mentioned that it doesn't seem to be like an option these days for most people. Not to put blame on to anyone, but how can we promote this and make this more of an option to people, whether not just a priesthood but religious life? That's a question from Celine De Cruz. She'd like to know how is it being promoted.
One good example is like Vocation Sunday. We do it once a year. There are opportunities like for the diocesan priests, I'm sure also for the Redemptorists and other congregations. There is a vocation promoter that goes around speaking even in our Sunday school these days. In the syllabus, there is also that thing about priesthood, priestly life, when you talk about the sacraments. So these are the opportunities, but it's not enough. It's not enough for us just to speak from the pulpit, but it also has to be reinforced in some ways in the home, to be able to, that parents, like Mark has 2 boys. I hope, Mark, you're talking to your boys and giving them that as an option, But a lot of times the thing is this, the reality is that, because we live in a material world, a lot of young people I ask, would you like to be a priest? Oh, okay. Can I afford a car? The first question is, can I buy a big car? Can I get this? So somehow society conditions a lot of young people to think that, it's material possession that determines our happiness and success. But I will say as a priest, I may be deprived of certain things, but I am enriched in many other things. And I think that's the beauty of the priesthood or religious life.
I would encourage anyone who is interested to give it a go, to try it out, to go and see someone. I would invite them to come and live in our community for a few days and just see what life is like, what religious life is like and how we live it. It gives them an experience. You can even go to the diocesan seminary, but just go into those places and see what's going on. And the spiritual director there will help you discern.
But I think sometimes people are afraid because the moment you share an interest, there's like a pressure from the community now. Everybody is saying, "Oh, I think that's something that we shouldn't be doing. We should encourage people to explore. I mean, I don't know. You ask people to go for vocation. I know, Mark, you went for vocation camps, right? I remember when I was in the Something Church. No, you didn't go. I think my mistake. I should have sent you.
Talking about pressure.
I kind of like I put that responsibility on your uncle, so he did a good job. But I think the community must nurture vocations. They must support. Not put pressure on people. Just that the guy goes to or the girl goes to explore, like Father Pat says, just to find out. Immediately, everybody brands them. Oh, okay. Oh, this is the holy one. This is one. And that kind of disappoints people sometimes. That people don't want to meet that. But nurture, support.
Yeah, but just wondering, Father Clarence or Father Pat, was there a time where, like, if you had someone religious in your family and that was like your pride, like, yes, my son is a priest, and was there a time when that was, happening, and then now that doesn't happen so much, maybe?
There's a joke, there's a priest that went to a family, and they had many children, so there were quite a few boys. So he asked the parent, can you encourage your sons to become priests? And then she said, oh father, okay, this one is the intelligent one. Okay, that one doesn't study very well. You can take him, father. You can take him. So the thing is, just because they don't make it in life doesn't mean that seminary is the option. But it's true. It was the pride and joy of many families. In my family, I'm the only priest. But yeah, there are many realities. I mean, it's too long to talk here. The situations in a country. But the thing is, I think give them the opportunity to discover. I think that's the beauty of it. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to become priests or religious, but at least they have discovered what happens. So we're having this talk show is because people don't know what we do. Don't know what happens in the seminary. So
And Father Pat, are you the only one in your family who are maybe a priest or religious?
Yes. The one and only.
So
sometimes
do they always...
proud. Sometimes they're proud. Sometimes they are embarrassed because I do crazy things. But I think they
So Father Pat, since you missed out on Mark. Since you missed out on Mark, you better work on Matthias and Marcus now. For the next generation.
Well, Father Clarence and Father Pat, I mean, a lot of people, when you said the worldly things, I mean, they want to be YouTubers because they want to be famous. I mean, they like to share content. A lot of people say they want to be an engineer because they like to build things. I mean, so I think there are highlights which they see from this. But I think maybe on the priestly aspect, just say if it's your last words to encourage people, I mean, what would be the joys of being a priest, and why people should consider it today as a vocation after your Form 5, after your college?
As I said, I mean, this whole idea is priesthood is about generosity, of giving of oneself, and I think that's something that we all can learn, that we should have in our lives, to be generous. I'm talking about generosity, not just in material things. For example, Mark, I mean, like in this time of MCO, there's so many people asking for so many things, and I mean, getting calls. People want this, people want that. Sometimes I just wish I had a few million ringgit to be able to help everybody, but I don't. I don't. But I've been able to connect them with people who are able to help others. And that's the beauty of it. So to be a priest sometimes is like a bridge. you're a bridge in the community, to bridge people with God, to bridge people with one another. It's easier to bridge people with God than to bridge people with one another sometimes. But that's, I think, the joy for me of priesthood, of ministry, is to be able to be a part of a community, to be able to share that same love, that same generosity that I receive from God with others. So, I mean, to the young people out there who are discerning, who are thinking, don't just think of the traditional careers of being famous, but priesthood is a way of serving God and serving one another, and not being a celebrity lah, not like Father Pat, who's got an album cut, not all of us are blessed with a golden voice, I guess. But in our own little ways, just kidding, I mean, but in our own ways, we are able to support and serve the community, and I think that's the greatest joy.
Yeah. And also what Mark said earlier, people want to be engineers and architects to build things. I think the priest is a builder when it comes to spirituality, helping to build people's relationship with God, helping people to encounter God. We always discount the spiritual aspects of our lives. Everyone is a spiritual being. It's just whether they want to develop that. So for me, I'm just an instrument, and I feel those that love relationships, love people, priesthood is a beautiful vocation to be in. It's a very caring. It's something that you express your compassion and your love. For me, it's, in a sense, you want to call it job satisfaction. It's the best thing that I've ever done in my life. I don't think any other career or job will give me what I have received from others. I get to know their highest moments, their best moments in life. When they are down, they share everything. And I think it's such a privilege to be in such a position. When people trust you and they share with you everything, from the moment they are born to the moment they die, you are there in their life. No other job offers this kind of a quality, such privilege and such honor. I don't regret this. You're a young person, you're thinking about this, go ahead, go and discern and find out.
That's great. Thank you for that, Father Pat. Mark, is there any more questions?
I think it's also time, Kevin, that I think a lot of people have been waiting for this moment.
Yeah. So once again, I'd like to thank all those who posted your questions in for the Clarence and for the Pat. Of course, we've had good response for this, so I'm sure we will do more sessions on Ask a Priest with Father Clarence, Father Pat, and maybe some other priests. We'll just call them on the show and see what they have to say. So be ready for the next show, Ask the Priest. All you have to do is like our Facebook page, follow us, and we'll let you know when that was going to be. As I promised or mentioned earlier, we're going to have the winner announcement for our contest that we had during Holy Week. Yes, we asked you to submit your pictures of decorations for Holy Thursday, Palm Sunday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and we've had a bunch of them come through. I'm not going to do the picking. In fact, Father Clarence and Father Pat are going to choose the winners. Mark, how is this going to go?
So I think we had, first of all, thank you very much for participating in this. I think it was a great idea by Father Clarence and Father Pat to actually come up with the Holy Week MCO contest. And I think we have quite a lot of submissions. So the first stage, maybe we will get Father Pat and Father Clarence to maybe share their thoughts on the submissions while I just scroll through the different submissions submitted by the different various people. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just looking at it, so amazing. The people are so creative. Even though distant from the church, but people have taken the effort to create the atmosphere of Holy Week, and that's beautiful. I've loved many of those, but unfortunately, because it's a competition, you have to narrow down. If you could give a prize to everyone, I would give a prize to everyone for at least for the effort put in, the thought that went in, and they all deserve a prize. But like all competitions, Kevin, Mark, we have to choose one. So, so don't be discouraged. And I hope these things continue even after MCO is lifted. To recreate that whole idea of reverence in your home for this most important time in our liturgical celebrations.
So Father Pat, what do you think of this submission so far?
Yeah, I mean, the very fact that they took pains to be creative, it's amazing. When I asked for Palm Sunday, how are you going to welcome Christ into your house? What are you going to put on your doors? They came up with very interesting designs, and I'm quite pleased with so many entries coming in.
That's
It's
great.
good,
That's
yeah.
great. So now I think we have actually more than 30 over submissions for the first time. And I think all of this looks very different and unique in its own way. And then I think we have to decide the winners. So maybe Father Clarence and Father Pat, we have two winners, correct? So
Drum
Yeah.
roll.
drum
I mean,
roll.
everyone is a winner, lah, Mark. Let's put it that way. Everyone is a winner here. But you know,
Winner.
but out
Everyone
of
is a winner.
yeah, out of 30, we just had to pick two. So we kind of picked two that we think we would like to share a small gift with. But I keep saying everyone is a winner here. Everyone for the effort, for the creativity. It's amazing, and I hope many of them will transfer that creativity into their churches. You know, when we reopen, and I use that. So we have a lot of creative people out there. It's amazing.
Your
And
parish
the
priest now knows who you are.
And so
The one
these
that
are
I've chosen, the one for the door, the entrance of the door. And I think that goes to Dominic for his creativity. On his front door, the design that he had, Dominic.
Yay. Congratulations, Dominic. And Father Clarence?
And the other one goes to Diana Raj for recreating the whole Holy Thursday, Palm Sunday kind of an atmosphere. It's amazing to set up an altar, to put that jar that for washing of the feet, and to have it. I first thought it was a chapel somewhere, but it was in the home. So it's a beautiful effort put in by Diana. So yeah, that's my pick.
So congratulations to
All right.
Diana and Dominic.
Yeah, certainly. It looks like a lot of thought has gone into this. Yeah, a lot of thought and also a lot of effort and skill. I mean, look at Dominic. His one has a ribbon and all that, and looks like a floral. Someone who does those flowers. What do you call them? A florist or what? Did something really wonderful with that. And also Diana has all the elements there. Surely a lot of thought has gone into this. So once again, congratulations to Diana Raj and Dominic. We will get in touch with you and see how we can give you your prize. And also, once again, thank you very much to all those who submit your entries. They were beautiful. As Father Clarence said, we wish we could give everyone a prize. But just to make it interesting, we like to have a competition and, of course, get more competitions going in the future.
Talking about that, Kevin, I think Mother's Day is coming up, right?
Ooh, yes.
So Father Pat and so what
should we ask them? What should we ask them to do, fathers?
Ask your readers.
Show us their creativity, Kevin. I mean, let's not confine their creativity. Show us their creativity, how they are celebrating Mother's Day, and maybe we could have something similar to that. What they have done for their mothers, or what they are planning to do. Would we still be under MCO when we celebrate Mother's Day? I think it's second week of May, right?
Yeah, second week we would still be, yes.
Yeah. So show us something creative of how you have appreciated and celebrated Mother's Day, and maybe we could think of something along those lines.
Okay, great. So you heard it from Father Clarence. Yes, Father Pat?
Right. And for those who cannot afford it, I think a poem to mothers would be wonderful. Write a thank you note or a poem to your mother, and then we will read it and see who's got the best
great
poem.
Yeah. So Bishop spoke about writing using a letter. Yeah, Bishop Archbishop spoke about writing using a letter. So maybe we can write a poem using a letter and give it to our parents and submit it on our comment box here. I mean, and we'll go through it later.
Yeah, send it through. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that. So once again, the viewers watching and those who's watching this video, you've got a lot of time. There's, I think, about 2.5 weeks to go. So, get thinking, get creative, plan something and send it to us, post it in our comment section, and we'll have another competition. And also we'll air all your poems or all your creations, beautiful decoration pictures on our Facebook on another show. All right. So I think it's been a great show today. We've answered a lot of questions, more questions to be answered in future shows, I hope. But I would like to thank Father Patrick Massang and Father Clarence for being on the show today. Ask a Priest. And also my co-host Mark, thanks for joining us. Maybe we can end with a prayer. Father Patrick, if I could just ask you to say a closing prayer to end the show.
Sure. All right. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we praise and thank you for this opportunity to reach out to so many people. We pray for all those affected by the pandemic. We pray for the coming Good Shepherd Sunday, for more vocation to the priesthood and religious life. And we thank you for all the people that have given up so much during this pandemic, and all those that had to lose loved ones. We make this prayer to Christ our Lord. Amen.
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 Father,
Amen. All right, that's our show. Once again, a big thank you to Father Pat, Father Clarence, and Mark, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Catholics at Home. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, like our Facebook page. Also, we have our podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Goodbye.
bye. I had to